My first question is targeted towards a digraph. So I might say to my student, whoa, look at that event. Look at it. There is some serious rain, lightning, and thunder happening. Which one of those things would you hear with your ears? Would you hear the lightning, L-I-G-H-T-N-I-N-G, the lightning? Or would you hear the thunder? Thunder. Which would you hear? So notice I'm providing a visual model. I'm writing the words while I'm also spelling them out loud for my student to hear. So last week we talked about using a pencil as a non-tactile, non-physical prompt for pointing. At this point, I would re-ask my question. I wouldn't have been talking to you guys the whole time. And then I would hand off the pencil. Say, so which one do you think you would hear? Would you hear the lightning or would you hear the thunder? Now you might be saying to yourself, that's not a phonics question. That sounds like a reasoning question. It is. I'm getting to the phonics. Stick with me. All right, so perhaps my student has the pen and they point and they say, thunder. Yes, you are correct. That is right. You would hear thunder. Let's look at that word thunder. 2 letters make that sound. All right, let's find them on here. Let's find them. I'm going to show you using a stencil, an alphabet stencil, and then you could use a keyboard. You could use any page on your device that has letters on it. All right, I'm going to find those 2 letters that make the sound. They're TH. TH makes that sound. Notice that I am telling my students which letters to look for. This is me instructing. There's not a lot of testing demand right now. We are just finding the letters. Okay, so let's find it. We have T and, okay, keep going up, 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 H. Great. TH makes the sound for thunder. That goes back to our Common Core first grade objective of finding and identifying digraphs. My student doesn't have to be able to produce that sound. They can just make a choice and we go from there. You know what else I'm wondering about? I was reading that this was the first child born free and easy. They're talking about a birth in this paragraph, the birth of a child. If you're thinking about a child being born, should you be picturing a baby, B-A-B-Y, or should you be picturing an adult, A-D-U-L-T? When you think of someone who is just born, someone who's just born is called a, all right, let's look, here's your pencil. They're called a, perhaps my student says adult, right? That's always the question. What happens when they say the wrong choice? Well, I'm going to teach, right? Maybe you don't know. Maybe your body chose to go in a different direction than you had control over, and you tapped something that you saw for a different reason. Okay. So you said adult. A person who's just born is called an adult. I might say, you know what? An adult is the one who's having the baby, but the baby is the person who's just born. Let's find the letter that makes the b sound like baby. Here's your board. Let's find that b.